Hey everybody, if you have not shot your bow in a while, let's say more than a couple of months, this video is going to lay out a plan for you to get back into shooting, all while avoiding pain and injury. One of the main things I do with Archery Strong is work with archers who sustain pain and injury, and then we work to fix that pain and injury. One of the most common instances that causes pain or injury in the upper body, particularly the shoulder or the elbow, is when an archer returns back into shooting after a period of time not shooting. And this occurs because the body has unadapted while you're not shooting. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. And the archer goes back into shooting and they're either not well equipped enough in their joints and tissues to handle the new stresses and loads that they're seeing in shooting, or those stresses and loads are just too much. So this plan that I'm going to lay out is going to ease the archer back into shooting so that it gives their body, particularly again their elbows and shoulders, time to adapt to the stresses and loads of shooting. When they have time to adapt, then they're able to get back into shooting without the development of pain or injury. The last thing I'll say before we dive into the plan is that this plan is mostly suited towards individuals who have some risk of pain or injury. And what I mean by that is archers that are young, healthy, no history whatsoever of pain and injury may be okay for a little bit more of an aggressive start than what I'm going to lay out here. However, if you're an archer who is older in age, if you've had history of pain, history of injury, history of surgery to anything in the upper body, upper extremity, this plan is going to be kind of a rather be safe than sorry approach to get you back into shooting. Because of course we want to shoot well, we want to shoot accurately, we want to enjoy shooting, and a large portion of that hinges on the ability to do it without pain or injury that it will limit you in your shooting. Let's dive into the plan that is going to allow you to get back into shooting without pain or injury. There's three main pieces that I'm going to touch on here. The first and the main piece that we're looking at is progressing your shooting after you reintroduce it. Meaning we're going to start small, we're going to start conservative, and then we're going to build up as we go. So what you see here is a table with month 1 on the left-hand side, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, month 2 on the right-hand side, week 5, week 6, week 7, and week 8. Starting at week 1, we're considering three main components: the intensity at which you shoot, meaning your poundage, the frequency at which you shoot, meaning how many times per week, and the volume at which you shoot, which means how many arrows. First, with intensity, if you haven't shot for a while, a couple months or even longer, then ideally, I highly recommend turning down your poundage to something that is lower than what you will eventually shoot. And that way, you're at a low intensity that's not as stressful on the joints, connective tissue, and the other working parts. So before you start anything, drop your poundage down. I know it's not ideal. We're not worried about being tuned. We're not necessarily worried about being accurate. We just want to get your body to progress back into shooting so you feel good and you can achieve what you want to achieve. So poundage is low, intensity is low. Then we go to how many times per week are we going to shoot? My recommendation is 2 sessions per week at just 6 arrows. I'm going to write 6A. 2 sessions per week at 6 arrows. It is very conservative. Remember, I'm doing my best to give a general outline and a general plan for guidance in getting back into shooting. Some of these factors or variables are subject to change based on your own judgment. Now, moving to week 2, we want to build you up and increase your workload, but we don't want to jump everything up. So we're going to leave poundage where it's at, leave it alone, but we're going to go to 3 sessions per week at 6 arrows. So volume's the same, intensity is the same, but we've increased our frequency. Now going to week 3, we're continuing to build you up. We're continuing to show your joints, your tissues, your muscles more workload so you can get to shooting the volume that you want to shoot. So here what we're going to do is now you can increase your poundage a bit. My guidance and my recommendation would be to increase about 5% of your draw weight. I highly recommend that archers do not really ever increase more than 10%. So if you're shooting 50 pounds, I would not recommend increasing more than 5 pounds. I like to see more so in the range of a couple pounds. Those big jumps in draw weight tend to trigger acute strains, acute irritations, the development of connective tissue issues. So keep your draw weight increases small. So we've increased draw weight for week 3, and we're going to increase arrow volume by half a dozen arrows to 12. However, we don't want to increase everything. We don't want to increase intensity. We don't want to increase volume and frequency. So we're going to keep the frequency low at 2 sessions per week again. So now we're at 2 by 12 with a little bit more draw weight than where we started in the first 2 weeks. Moving forward to the next week, we're going to keep draw weight the same. We're going to keep arrow volume the same at 12 arrows, but we are going to bump up frequency to 3 sessions per week. So we've increased your frequency of shooting while leaving everything else the same, gradually building you up, gradually exposing your working parts to more stress so that they can adapt and they have time to get used to what you are asking them to do. That gives them a chance to not respond with pain or injury because they're not overwhelmed and overloaded because you're slowly working your way up. Now, moving to week 5, we are going to again move to an increase in volume, add another half a dozen arrows there. But we're going to keep our frequency lower at 2 sessions per week of 18 arrows because you might want to add a little bit of draw weight again. And again, a few pounds is ideal. And truthfully, the smaller the jump, the better. So since we've gone up in arrows and potentially draw weight, we keep that frequency low so it's not too stressful. But then the following week, in week 6, we do increase the frequency, how many days you shoot, but we're keeping volume the same like we have in the pattern of the first month. And then again, if you want to increase beyond this, then we can add another half a dozen arrows, so 24 arrows. But since we're going up in arrows and in volume, we're going to drop frequency. And if you want, you can add a little bit of draw weight there. And what's important to notice is you have multiple times to increase your draw weight or multiple opportunities. So that decreases the necessity to make such big jumps, high jumps. And it is a little bit of a burden or an annoyance to have to make that increase and adjust things. But remember, this is for the individual who is prioritizing feeling good and not running into physical problems as they get back into shooting. Not necessarily the most efficient way to get back into shooting accurately. So for week 8, we're going to increase the frequency. We're still at the same volume and we stay at the same draw weight. At this point, you need to assess for yourself and think, okay, I've shot 3 times per week at 24 arrows. I'm at X draw weight, whatever that might be. From here, you need to determine where you want to go based on your own goals. Some individuals may say, hey, I'm good with that frequency. I'm content with that amount of arrows and my draw weight. Others may want to keep building, and you can continue to follow a similar pattern here until you're at your desired arrow volume, and you may even increase frequency to 4, 5, 6 days a week. I always recommend keeping at least 1 day of rest in your week for shooting for those that like to shoot a lot. Remember, this is subject to change with tweaking these variables a little bit to make it fit for you. You know yourself best. You know how you feel. You are able to take the feedback of, am I feeling sore? Am I feeling anything that is starting to feel like it's going to be negative in the long run? And that's where you can either pull back or you can say, no, I'm actually feeling really good and really competent. I can increase and continue to build. We've covered the progression of shooting, building up as you reintroduce shooting your bow into your life. There's 2 other things that are going to be helpful and we don't have to spend much time at all. The second thing that I recommend and is helpful is warming up a little bit before you shoot your bow. I have a general warm-up that I like for most archers that I will include in a link below. Check that out, utilize it with a light stretch band. It does a great job of preparing you to shoot, preventing strains of muscles and preventing pain and irritation from showing up. Then the third thing that you can do that I recommend, and we have a host of different options with Archery Strong, is utilizing some supplemental exercises to build up your shoulders, your back, your elbows, and all of your working parts. Shooting your bow is most important. It's going to strengthen you and prepare you to shoot your bow, of course, the way that you want to. With supplemental exercises, what we can do is hit the neglected parts, fix imbalances that occur by just using the muscles you use when shooting. There's a lot that we miss there. There's a lot that's not built up and equipped to withstand all of the shooting that you want to do. So we have a bunch of different options for supplemental strength training and corrective exercise you can do that is specific to archers, that helps build archers to fix pain, prevent injury, and ultimately get stronger so that you can handle shooting a bow without pain and injury. If you found this video valuable and helpful for you, please hit the like button below. I appreciate the support. Subscribing to this channel can help connect you to more information that is related to preventing pain, fixing injuries, and ultimately getting stronger and more capable as an archer. Lastly, we have a lot of great resources such as strength training and corrective exercise for the archer at archerystrong.com. You can also reach out to me there if you have any questions or if you want any guidance within your archery journey. Thank you.